Hey there, YouTube land. I'm back finally. After what, 6, 7 months? Something like that. Anyway, today I'd like to talk about something I like to do. Now, as you may know, I like to go fishing a lot. Um, and one of the ways I like to do it is I like to sometimes fish with vintage gear. So, basically, gear that was made uh, between the 1940s to the 1980s, 90s. Sorry, my nose itches. So I decided to show you a couple of old reels that I like to fish with. The first one is this Garcia Mitchell 300. These were some of the first spinning reels that were ever made, and they started making these around 1939, I believe, but in a half bail. And basically, it was like, uh, but the first full bail variants, at least according to the Mitchell Reel Museum website, were not made until 1950-51. So, you know, this particular one was probably made around 1969, maybe sometime in the early 70s, something like that. So it's a 50-year-old reel, probably 40, 50 years old. Um, but it's a good reel. I caught my biggest largemouth bass on this. Was measured in right about at 19 inches. And I caught him on this reel. You can see it's pretty beat up, but that's because I won this in an eBay auction for $19.20, I believe. About. So I got it for under 20 bucks. As you can see, it's pretty beat up, but nothing that impacts the function. Uh, So, and a lot of these you'll find like this, but it doesn't hurt the reel. These were built to last. Uh, Now, one thing you want to notice is that these reels go uh, counterclockwise, although from your perspective it looks clockwise, but um, and the only reason you really got to note that is when you're spooling line, because you want the line to wrap off the same way it's going to wrap onto the reel. These are very easy to service. All you really got to do is give them a good cleaning and a service once a year, and you got a lifetime reel. So the next reel I have is another Mitchell. It's the Garcia Mitchell 300A. Now this reel was made from 1977 to 78. Now you might be wondering, well, what's the difference? Well, from a visual standpoint, there's the red stripes on it. Another difference is that in between the two side plates, probably tough to see, but there's a little red gasket that kind of reduces friction and gives it a smoother action. Another difference is inside the pinion gear is bigger than what you have in the 300. So those are the main differences. And also, according to this, it says there's an oil light bearing, but it's really mostly the same. And also the line roller on this one is different. On the 300, it's more like a cone shape. So that's another difference. But like I said, this one also goes, well, it moves counterclockwise, although this looks like clockwise from your vantage point. And that's what cameras do. And yeah, they do have a noise. One way to get rid of it is to shut the anti-reverse off. I don't, because if I get a big fish on and say I lose control of the reel, if this goes back like that, you get a nasty bird's nest and all kinds of tangles, and I can tell you it's a pain to get those out. So I just don't. The click doesn't really bother me. I'm not concerned about if the reel clicks or not, as long as it does what I need it to do. So these are both, they're good reels. They're not fast, but for what I do, I really don't need a high-speed reel. Um, so, you know, but no, they're both, excellent reels. And I would encourage you, if you can find one for a good price, to pick one up. You won't regret it. Now, another thing you should note, though, is that the reel foot is a lot wider than a lot of the reel foots on more modern spinning reels. And so you can only get certain types of rods for it. Now, the ones you want to get, that I get for these, that I have for these, they screw in from the back. Actually, I'll go get one to show you some examples. This is the top half of a vintage Berkeley cherrywood rod that I got when I got the 300A. It has a stainless steel, I'm not sure if this is steel or aluminum reel seat, but as you can see, there's a little ring that acts as the screw, and it screws in from the back. So you want to get a rod with either this style of reel seat, so mostly a vintage one, but there is probably some more modern ones from like the 90s, early 2000s that have this, or this is the top half of a more modern Berkeley cherrywood. You want to get a rod with this style reel seat. Now this one doesn't exactly work the best because this broke off and then I couldn't move it, and so I kind of have to work it like that. But usually this part is attached, so it moves this part of the seat with it. But this will also work for the vintage Mitchell reels, or most vintage spinning reels. So, you want to get one, spinning rods in this style if you want to find a good rod to go with these. So, it's also more advice. So, yeah, those are the two vintage reels that I fish with. I might make another video with a couple of other vintage reels I've obtained. And as always, please like this video, comment, subscribe if you want, and have a good day.